This is the BULLS DAIL-E Grinder, and before we get too far into it, I want to show you it's like Dale-E Grinder. Yeah, I think they did that for like copyright reasons. There's other like gravel grinder and different words out there, but the name fits. You know, the grind, like going to work, getting stuff done. This bike does it, and yet it has drop bars, and it looks like a road bike, which to me kind of equals discomfort. Like, I love road bikes. I love how fast and lightweight they are. But you know, you really take it in your back and your arms and neck. So looking at like an electric bike, especially a speed pedelec like this that goes 28 miles per hour top speed, to me it's like, oh my gosh, get ready to start hurting. But they've really balanced this out and made it, to me, just something amazing, something really incredible. Yes, it's not super cheap. It's things like $59.99. So we're talking $6,000, but you're getting a leading drive system from Bosch. I know it's kind of like tipped maybe more than you're used to, and that's because a lot of the BULLS bikes are starting to just tightly integrate the motor so it doesn't stand out as much as the older electric bikes, and then it meets right there at the base of the battery. So it's a 350 watt, 60 newton meters of torque. It's the Performance Line speed motor. So you don't get quite as much torque, but you're getting that higher speed. Just works wonderfully. Pretty quiet, too. I was surprised. You know, I've been trying a bunch of different BULLS bikes. There's like the SR Sun Tour motor. They've got the Bros motor. And this one, I'm really liking it. I love the higher speed because for commuting, you know, you get there a little bit faster. But with this kind of design, you don't stand out too much, okay? So coming back to just what makes it more rideable, like, you've got a Duraflex carbon fiber seat post, and you'll notice it's kind of like oval shaped here. It's not circular. There's a little shim. You can put your own seat post on here. It's 31.6 millimeters. You could add, I think, a body float would be perfect for this bike. You're going fast, and it kind of floats you there, and it takes out the road vibration. But the other things that are helping you are this awesome suspension fork, 65 millimeters of travel, RockShox Paragon. I've seen this on some of the older Specialized turbo road bikes, and it's just nice. It's relatively lightweight. You do have some adjustability. It does lock out, so you can kind of keep it super rigid if you want to get all of that energy pedaling, or you just prefer that feeling. But I love that it kind of cushions your hands and stuff, especially if you're way down here in the drops. Then we come down to the Schwalbe, there's the Marathon Supreme, and they've got the Evolution, kind of a folding design. These are awesome. They're really wide. It's like 28 by 2 inches, and that's huge compared to a traditional road bike tire, but it really helps you absorb the bumps. And I think they're rated to like 35 to 65 psi, so you can drop that psi, the pressure in those tires, a little bit. You know, I'm only 135 pounds. Sometimes when those tires are really full, it's like it's just jarring. So between the tires, the carbon fiber, like, you know, vibration dampening seat post, or potentially your own thud buster or whatever, and the suspension up here, it's awesome. It rides so smooth. It's fast, but it's comfortable too. And you can get up here in the hoods if you want more of like an upright position, or way down here if you want to be aerodynamic and just kind of, you know, help that battery go a little bit further, help it last longer. That's the other thing. This is kind of like the pre-production, like finalized version. So some of the indications aren't quite right. This says PowerPack 400, but it's actually going to have the new PowerPack 500, right? So you get 100 extra watt hours. You're going to take your range even further. They estimate like 135 miles per charge, and that's, you know, if you're in the lowest levels of assist with ideal conditions and stuff. I tend to like always take it down. It's like, okay, maybe, you know, 60 plus miles if you're in like the highest level of assist and you're a heavier person and you've got some panniers or something. Really love this integrated rack. You can see there's 2 bolts right here, and then it acts as another mounting point for these SKS plastic fenders, so they don't rattle when you're going at high speeds. That's also important. And it's got a really nice integration for a Supernova 5 LED tail light, and there's a little license plate mount. That's a European requirement, and you've even got a reflector and the mud flap back here. Same thing, SKS fender up front with the support struts, and then a nice mounting point right there on the suspension fork. So it's just like, they did it right. I mean, this is what it should be. Like, that's, you want the fenders so you can ride in any condition. You want the rack so you can add some panniers and not have this weight on your back, hurting your back and neck, and, you know, again, discomfort. Like, everything here is just optimized, but you can still have fun. It's like a race car. You're really far forward. It's one of the other things I called out before with like road bikes. I've had like Specialized tarmacs and different, you know, awesome bikes that are so much fun to ride. They're lightweight. This isn't super light compared to them, but it's not bad considering the larger battery pack and stuff. Right there at like 49, 50 pounds. It does come in 3 different frame sizes. They're all high step like this, but in some ways it's like, okay, you can hang that off the back of your car, and they're able to make it stronger with less aluminum by doing this frame style versus kind of the curving and all that other fancy stuff. We do have a tapered head tube right here. Just going to add some strength, and then we've got quick release axles, front and rear, or rather skewers. They're kind of standard. Nice that you can take those wheels off though if you're doing quick maintenance, patching it up on the side of the road, or just tossing it in the back of your car. I like that. And of course, take the battery pack off. It's like 5.7 pounds. You know, that reduces the weight as well. Love that they've added bosses for a bottle cage right there, so you don't have to put that somewhere in the back or add some aftermarket thing. You've got bosses. Like, great. You can add a mini pump there, you add the bottle cage or whatever. Could always add little frame bags, maybe something up here like a bento box. There's a lot of cool accessories that are just going to work like a normal bike. And I love that it's, of course, purpose built. You've got all the wires and stuff running through the frame. The other really unique thing about this particular bike is that it has the Shimano Di2 electronic shifting with Ultegra derailleur back here. So it's 1x11. I think this is 11 tooth to 32 teeth, so, you know, kind of smaller for higher speed operation. And then we've got a 22 tooth chain ring up there. Compared to some of the other Bulls bikes I've reviewed, most of them being mountain bikes, those ones all have like 15 tooth chain rings, so it's a lot smaller, and that's, you know, higher RPM but easier for climbing. This one's completely geared for those higher speeds, and I've had no problem hitting 28 miles per hour on this thing. Love that they've got the little kind of the chain guard here. It helps your pants slough over and not get greasy, and it might keep the chain on track if there's any bouncing going on. You know, it's kind of a matte back finish, but I'm noticing in the sun here it's like sparkly. There's this sparkly sticker stuff. Just kind of neat, just sort of fun. A little bit of a sticker slap guard here to keep the black paint intact. Aluminum frame again, so it's not gonna get rusty. You'll notice that this pedal that it comes with, it's kind of a basic like Welgo C128DU cage style. Not my favorite, but most people replace these, you know, when they're getting a bike. You get clip-in pedals or something like that. But you can see this one's really scraped up because another person was riding it, and maybe they weren't used to these larger 700C wheels and the kind of the lower build of this bike and how close the pedals get to the ground compared to something like those off-road bikes. And so they were turning, they were pedaling, and scratched it, almost crashed them. So keep that in mind. That's just sort of a general comment on road bikes, or some sort of like hybrid road bike versus mountain bikes and stuff. Believe this is a Cellular saddle, branded Bulls. Again, I've got all the specs back at the website, a lot of the extra little details and stuff. I always try to record those on something that's this expensive and nice. And I do want to call out that if you didn't like this rack, they've even got rack bosses. It's like they went above and beyond. I like almost everything about this bike, except I'd question the brakes a little bit. You know, we've got Shimano hydraulic brakes, front and rear, only 160 millimeters on those rotors. Bulls has the other bikes, the kind of the speed pedelec with the Suntour motor, and it has 203 millimeter brake rotors. That helps to dissipate the heat. It means you don't have to squeeze quite as hard. It gives you more mechanical advantage because you're kind of braking from out further versus right in the middle. So I'm just kind of surprised they didn't go with like 180s or something, but they work. You know, it stopped me fine. And then up here we've got all the Shimano, just really nice, kind of the road bike style levers, and the electronic shifters are built into both of them, so they're here, but you don't have a front derailleur, so they don't work, they don't do anything. It's all over on the right. So when you press this one, it's gonna kind of shift, and then, oh, you know what, I think I have to turn it on first, so I'm gonna activate the Bosch display. You can see there's a little band here, and then there's the Shimano Di2 battery pack just tied right there. And then in the seat post, there's another battery pack for the derailleur. So battery for the derailleur, battery for up here. It'd be nice if it was all running off of that main battery pack. Again, 500 watt power. It's actually 480 something, 36 volts. I think it's like 13 amp hours. And it's, you know, you've got all that battery, and then you've got extra things you have to worry about running out of battery and replacing separately. But it's fairly accessible, and they're not the only ones who are kind of in that situation. So anyway, now that that's on, let's try the shifter again. There we go. You can see it going back and forth a little bit. That's just kind of neat. Just fewer wires, maybe. There's still some wires for that, but just precision shifting, it's sort of the new thing. Adds to the price, but it's kind of a cool upgrade. And then again, just it's all set up nicely up here, and you could potentially replace these just like a road bike. I like drop bars, and it's hard to do that with a bike that doesn't have drop bars, you know, and then buy the hoods and buy the different levers and rewire all the shifting. Like, it's much better if you kind of get it like this. The only other bikes I've seen like this up until now have been the high bikes with like the Super Race and all that, but not all of those were speed pedelecs. Some of the more affordable ones were just 20 mile per hour, and it's like, why do I even have a road bike if I can only go 20 miles per hour? Like, it's all about speed. Love that they've got this special little bell mount here, so you can kind of flick that, and that they've got this elevated button pad, because you really can't mount it. There's so many hand positions, whether you're like this or this or this, so they just brought it up right here. But it's the same Bosch control panel and Intuvia display I always see. Really nice. It is removable, so you can take it off, take it with you if you want to, and it actually powers, or rather controls, the lights. You can press the light button. We've got a really bright, like 900 lumen Super Nova M99 Pure Plus. It's almost as nice as the one on the Stromer ST2. Also super bright, looks very similar. And it's got the outer ring and then the inner ring going on. This one's just a little bit, not quite as many lumens. And then there's that 5 LED brake light. I wish I could, I'm trying to stretch out, but you just, like when you pull the brake levers, you might be able to see that it actually lights up the brake light even more, like a bright mode. So I love that. That's another cool feature, just to let people know you're braking. This bike is kind of all black. It does sort of blend in. You want to be safe, so thankfully those tires do have reflective sidewall stripes. That's going to really help you stand out and not get killed. Okay, so we're up at the light again. Just kind of nice. You can adjust like up or down. I don't know how to make it bright mode. Sorry about that, guys. Failing you a little bit. There is a USB, I think it's like micro USB charging port on the side of the Intuvia display. You can see it right there. It doesn't offer a whole lot of power. It just sort of maintains, but if you're using your phone for Strava or for GPS or whatever, it's nice to be able to tap into that. That's one of the big benefits of Bosch. So I'm going to go through all the different readouts here. We've got 5-bar battery level indicator. We've got speed currently in miles per hour, and then we've got our different assist levels. So we're in off right now, but if I arrow up, we go to eco, it's like 50%, tour 120%, sport, and turbo. Again, all the details back at the site. Since this one's the performance line, it's set up a little bit differently, so you get different power output at these levels. Of course, if you're in turbo, you're going to use that battery more quickly, but that's also how you get to that top speed. And I believe above 20 miles per hour as a person, you're not super aerodynamic, so you do start to cut into that battery. It's, of course, a lot of fun. You get to your destination earlier, but that's something that's worth keeping in mind. It's nice that you can take the battery off. You can charge it inside, on the bike or inside, and just, it's easy. It's got this little handle on top. I really like it. It's, you know, one of my favorite designs. So coming back to the display, the eye in either place here just goes through these different readouts. So we're at max speed right now, 35.9 miles per hour, not bad. Average speed, 12.4 miles per hour. Trip time, 1.39. And then range. Range is really cool because it sort of estimates how far it thinks you can go based on what level of assist. We're not fully charged right now, but it's only estimating 12 miles because that's, again, it's like really working it. I'm in California here in a really nice neighborhood up in the hills, and the really big steep hills here, and it sucks a lot of battery out. That's where we're going to ride in a minute, but you know, thankfully it uses like the last 5 miles and kind of averages, and it estimates. If we go down to eco, well, now it says 32 miles. Again, battery is not full on this, but just take a grain of salt when they say like 135 miles. Like, no, that's like in perfect ideal conditions with like, you know, flat pavement, no wind, 170-pound rider. but still impressive. It's nice that they've got that larger battery pack because you're gonna need it. You know, you're at those higher speeds and stuff. So also love that there's a kickstand on this, a nice one too, Plesher E5GE. It's far enough back that it doesn't collide with the pedals, like when you're walking the bike around. Gotta love that. And yeah, I think that's it. I might just give you another view of kind of the underside. Bulls always has these nice aluminum bash guards for their bikes. I like that. It just keeps the battery in good shape. And here's the battery plug on the side. Really just tight integration. I'm loving that. Remember the old Bosch motors, they really stuck out. And it was still awesome because it keeps the battery weight low and center. You know, it's still a good thing. And this is kind of the same motor. They're just tuning it over time just a little bit. It's still generation 2. Yeah, it looks awesome. I love this bike. It's rad. Okay, let's do it. I'm gonna hop on, pedal around a little bit, try to give you some feedback about that motor. Again, a little bit of a lower, don't want to hit things down there. Careful. There we go. I'm gonna need that power filming with one hand and with all these hills, so I'm gonna go straight to turbo. Okay, so I'm just coasting along, and here we go. See how responsive that is? It's just like immediate. And now they've even got a little power gauge right here too, so you can tell, you know, whether you're sipping on that battery or you're just going for it. The sensors in this bike and the Bosch bikes in general use speed, torque, and cadence, and they combine all of those. And it's just like one of the fastest responding motors that I've seen out there. It does produce a little bit of a whine. I'm going to try to show you that in a second. And there's more power. It's not quite as subtle and like smooth, complementary feeling. It's more like, whoa, it's there for me. I'm riding something electric, and I'm getting feedback, at least in turbo, where I usually demo. Most of the actual riding I do is in tour or eco. So let's do that for a second. You may also notice that as I'm pedaling, that chain ring, it spins like 2 times per 1 revolution of my crank arm. They kind of gear it up that way so that it's consistent with like a normal bike. I'm coasting down the hill right now. Using that disc brake, feeling pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna try to climb this in different levels of assist. It's not the steepest hill, but it's still gonna give you an idea. It's helping, but I'm not going super fast. So now let's go up to tour. And now let's go to turbo. There we go. I mean, I'm climbing this hill at 16 miles per hour. That's awesome. And just the body position, I mean, you know. And there's that whining sound I was talking about. Just because the RPM's higher, the motor's spinning a little bit faster. But you kind of lose that in the wind and the sound of just cruising over any kind of pavement or whatever. There's a little bit of ambient noise from the bike anyway, so to me it's totally worth it. I'm a huge fan of the Bosch system and just this bike in general. We got a new max speed, people, 42 miles per hour, because I was just going down the hill. Of course, the electric motor doesn't go that fast, but I just want to let people know who are like, oh, you know, electric bikes, how fast and speed. It's like you can go faster than 20 or 30 miles per hour on human power with a little bit of gravity. So it's awesome that this works in the other direction. It just helps you get home faster, to climb that hill, not get sweaty. You know, that was awesome. I felt pretty comfortable at those speeds, but of course, I'm wearing my helmet. Impressed with the shifting there. You probably heard it kind of clinking a little bit. I think that the Di2 system is so fast that even though Bosch has shift sensing, they're kind of happening simultaneously, or maybe the shift sensing is a little bit delayed. So there's a little bit of mashing. I was purposely pushing hard, climbing and shifting. So, you know, depending on how you ride, you can kind of mitigate that a little bit. But I wanted to call it out. That's another reason Bosch is pretty cool. They've got that software-driven shift sensing. Let's do a little bit more climbing. Just made the top of the hill. Not bad. Yeah, gosh. So glad to see some variety like this. Yes, it's expensive, but it actually works. It's comfortable. It's not just like a showpiece like electric bike with drop bars. Like, I could actually commute on this daily and I think feel decent when I got to work. And I love that. That's important to me. So for the full write-up on this, with all those specs I was talking about and comments and pictures, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. And of course, you're riding safe. It's a black bike and everything. Just, you know, be safe out there. Have a good time.